The Atlanta Braves take down the Washington Nationals 11-5 for a 9-game winning streak, but it's a costly victory as they lose Ozzie Albies to a broken hand. Let's talk about it.
This is the Braves Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Atlanta Braves. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into the Braves Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby, author of the Braves Today newsletter over at bravestoday.com. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. That is Jake Mastroianni, host of Locked On Braves. Follow him on social media at shortstopball. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Braves wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. I've been told that there is a rant coming from Jake Mastroianni about the timing of some of the transactions. That might also be in the newsletter tomorrow over at bravestoday.com. But in the meantime here, we're here to talk about this 11-5 victory by the Braves over the Nationals. And I'm going to change the format a little bit. We're not going to name a player of the game just yet because there's a bigger story that comes out of this game.
This is what you'll be talking about.
The Atlanta Braves lost Ozzie Albies to a broken hamate bone in his left hand. Happened on a foul ball swing. He was not hit by the pitch. This was just the way that he swings, the force on his hand, just kind of, I guess just broke the bone. We've talked a ton on this show, Jake, about how Ozzie really wasn't himself until the second half. And we speculated it was related to last year's broken wrist that he had late in the season. Does this feel like something that you have to, this is going to big enough to change the offseason plans about who you add to this offense? Do you need to find somebody to place, that can play second base in case this bothers Ozzie next year? Or is this, it's not the wrist, just a bone in the hand. It doesn't need it to move. It'll be fine in 6 to 8 weeks.
So I think it does change the offseason plans a little bit in that you need to make sure you have somebody that you trust that can play second base next year. If that's not Nacho, and maybe the Braves thinking that could be Nacho, but I think they need to have somebody in tow that can play second base. And this is not to get on a too off topic here. This is why I don't think Marcell Ozuna or any full-time DH can come back, because you got to be able to find somebody that can cover center field if Michael Harris continues to struggle. You got to find somebody that can cover second base if Ozzie Albies gets injured, but also be able to get them at bats to be able to convince them to come play for your team, not just in case these situations happen. That's why it's been so hard to bring in, I think, some players, is because there's just not anywhere to play these guys regularly. But if you got to open DH, you can go get a Brandon Lau and you can play him in the DH spot every now and then, and you can have him to back up second base. So, I mean, you can just do more. You can be more flexible with it. But I think and I thought they needed to go into the offseason improving their depth anyway, particularly at second base, because Ozzie has this every other year thing going on with injuries right now. And maybe he got it out of the way. Maybe you can look at it, positively on that side of things too. He went in and just got his injury for next season out of the way. But it is a big deal, because you look at the first half and second half slugging percentage for Ozzie Albies. It's .316 slug in the first half and .439 in the second half. 606 OPS to 769 OPS. And as you said, we all just kind of assumed that was healing from the wrist and getting stronger with that. And now we're going to deal with that for the first half of next year as he tries to rehab this hand. And how long can the Braves allow it to go? I still think they pick up the option because it's $3 million. I've always just said you pick up the option. I mean, it's $3 million. You're not really saving much anyway, especially if you don't know what else you have or what else is going to be available to you. But I think it does change offseason plans a little bit. It becomes more of a need now to find somebody that can back up Ozzie at second base.
Yeah, if you're listening, Micah, it's a $3 million difference. They're going to pick it up. I've said this multiple times before. There's just virtually nobody you're going to get for $3 million on the open market to replace Ozzie. So, yeah, they're going to bring him back. But to your point, and I keep thinking second base, center field's a really hard combination to find a guy who can do both. It ends up with, I think Willie Castro did some of that this year. I don't think the list is very big of free agents who did that. So that really puts you into an interesting situation. But to your point, having theoretically, even if you didn't want to DH Sean Murphy, which we've been told he should be back to normal, You could DH Drake Baldwin. You could DH the corner outfielders one day a week. You could DH this guy a couple of days. There's ways to work around it. So I do think that given that it is, I don't know the right way to word this, it's not a bone that's essential for movement like the actual wrist injury he had last year was, like the broken wrist. Like that was close to the joint. And I'm not a doctor, just up front. I'm not a doctor, but I did
Holiday Inn Express once.
I just did Holiday Inn Express once. Hey, no free pub, Jake, no free pub. They can pay for that if they want that plug. But it does feel like that this theoretically isn't going to be as long of a return, I think. And so, yeah, him having the whole offseason to rehab, obviously no postseason. I am curious about what the immediate roster move is to bring up somebody to replace him, because I know you and I both, and I know you're going to talk about it on the show. We're not going to get into it here, but you and I were both a little frustrated that Giancarlo Lara got optioned down today and never got a chance to debut and actually pitch in the majors. But the way that the logistics work here, he can be the injury replacement for Ozzie as long as you also option a pitcher down for the position player. So like if you're going to bring up Brett Wisely or whoever it may be out of Gwinnett, Giancarlo Lara can come back before the 15 days because he's replacing an injured player. And then you just have to move a pitcher out to give him a spot, if that makes sense. Like it doesn't have to be a position player for a position player on an injury replacement kind of basis. So they can get somebody. I kind of want to see Lara get a chance to pitch in the majors this year. And I know we both kind of, again, not to steal from your rant that's coming, but I do think that's really interesting there. I'm really struggling with what the Nationals did in this one, because you look at like Chris Sale's line, and it's not a bad line as far as 3 hits, 2 walks, but it felt like every single one of them cashed in for the Nationals. And so 5 runs on the 3 hits and 2 walks. I thought that Chris Sale, outside of that 3-run double or that 3-run base hit, looked almost as good as he's looked all year in this one.
Yeah, kind of a crazy game here for Chris Sale. I give him a little bit of a break. I mean, those were some long innings. Those first 3.5 innings were so long. You could see him in the dugout trying to stretch and stay loose and warm. And he just clearly, with all of that, he's not going to make excuses for it, I'm sure. But he obviously lost some command in that 4th and 5th inning. So I think that had a lot to do with it. That ball just goes off the glove of Nacho over there at third. And those just allowing those 3 runs to score. I mean, if that ball just doesn't hit Nacho's glove and gets ball, that's probably 1 fewer run there. But yeah, just frustrating. But I'm not worried in the slightest on Chris Sale in this one.
Yeah, and he touched 99 on a fastball. I don't know if that's the hardest pitch of the year for him, but it feels like it might be. So not only is he pitching well, he is pitching the best velocity he's had all year, which is a good sign, obviously. So kind of like that. In just a minute, I want to talk about some more of this game, some of the pitching decisions. We did have a question about how somebody got a save in a 6-run game. We'll explain all that next, right here on the Braves Postcast. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5-Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. What I love most is how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot. You can take it anywhere and get that boost when you need it. I leave one in my bag for the ballpark. I leave one in the center console of the Jeep. They're stashed all over because it's just incredibly convenient. And honestly, I love how fast it kicks in and that it's sugar-free, so I don't have to worry about crashing later. So that is enough of boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-Hour Energy shots. Either get the favorites you love or be bold and try something new. You can do it in store. You can do it online at 5hourenergy.com or at Amazon today. Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends at Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts and don't know what their net worth is. Maybe they're leaving off an investment or 401k or things like that. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. And that's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives, and if you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you because Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONMLB. A little housekeeping cleanup here. Shout out to the chat for having great stats. I'm pretty confident this podcast has the best and most educated chat, like full of ball knowers of anybody. That was the fourth hardest pitch of Chris Sale's season. And so there's multiple people who had that stat. Thank you for that. We did get a question at the very beginning of the postcast from Corey. How does Suarez get a save for this game? A couple people answered this in the chat already, but for those of you who are also listening on audio, any pitcher who pitches the final 3 innings of a win can get a save, no matter what the score is. It's either you pitch the final inning of a 3-run game, and there's some caveats in there, right? If they're tying runs on deck or whatever, or you pitch the final 3 innings of any win, you get a save. And so that's how Jose Suarez got the save. 5 hits, no walks, no runs, 2 strikeouts across 3 innings. Jake, I'm trying to figure out the player of the game for this one. And it's definitely somebody from the bottom of the order to me, because if you look at what the last couple guys did, Drake Baldwin, which it just felt weird to have him batting 6th. He's been cleanup and things like that earlier in the season. But Baldwin, Ozuna, Harris, and Alvarez combined for 9 hits, including 2 doubles, 7 stolen bases. 7 RBI, 5 runs, and a couple stolen bases there. It feels like it almost has to be Michael Harris, right? Because he's the one that drove in 3 of the runs. But I'm having trouble figuring out. It feels like it might be a team award at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Ronald reached base 5 times tonight. I mean, Drake Baldwin had a double and 2 RBI. It's hard to pick, and that's what you want every night when you look at this offense. You want to be able to look up and down and say, so a couple of guys at the top had a good night, a couple of guys in the middle contributed, the guys at the bottom were able to get on base and set up the top, and that's what you got tonight. So it is a tough one. It probably is more of a team award. I'll tell you who doesn't get player of the night, Lindsay. That's the obvious one, and that's Mr. Matt Olson.
Yeah, very rough night for Matt Olson. He goes 0 for 6, 4 strikeouts, has a rough defensive play. Thank you for setting me up on that. I loaded the screenshot of Matt Olson after the failed sliding catch attempt in the late in the game there. And I was dying to use it, so thank you for giving me that little treat just for the YouTube friends there. This happens to guys. It almost feels like this is the first game that Matt Olson's really had he's been on the struggle bus like this since probably the All-Star break. So kind of good to absolve him there. Everybody else gets on base though. And I'm actually trying to check. I think everybody else, except obviously for Ozzie, got on multiple times. Like I think because everybody either had 1 hit and a walk like Ha-Seong Kim and Nacho Alvarez, or they had 2 or 3 hits. I think everybody got on multiple times. But Matt Olson, he went 0 for 6 with 4 strikeouts. But yeah, this offense, absolutely what you're looking for, what you want to see. And I'm really curious, do you think that Nick Allen is going to be the guy at second base? And can he, he went 1 for 3 with an RBI in this one. He looked like he was a different guy out of the 4 hole batting cleanup hitter Nick Allen. Did you ever think that was going to happen, Jake?
Yeah, no, that's probably why Ronald reached so much there late in the game. Maybe choosing to face Nick Allen, which is a smart move. I mean, I guess I don't know how serious the Brujan injury is there. You also got Luke Williams on the roster, but I think it'd kind of be cool.
You need to save Luke Williams for the bullpen.
This is true. I think it'd be cool if they gave Nick Allen some run here just because of what he did for him this entire season, playing shortstop, playing so well. Look, even when he came in, you saw a nice play. I don't know that Matt Olson's foot was on the bag, but we're certainly going to take the overturn there. But yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool if they gave Nick Allen a little bit of run just for what he did for this Braves team this entire season.
Yeah. Scrolling through the chat, it kind of feels like not a consensus, but it kind of feels like Harris is getting more of the love for player of the game than Drake Baldwin. So we're going to go with Harris. I still think it's kind of a team prize here. All right. So going into Tuesday, Brad Lord versus Hurston Waldrop. This is another rematch from last week. Part of me seeing how much better or how easier it was for Atlanta to get after Mackenzie Gore tonight versus what they did last week makes me hopeful that you're going to see the Braves get to Brad Lord tomorrow when they really couldn't do a lot of that last week. Do you think Hurston Waldrop has a better outing and what is likely his final start of the season?
Certainly hope so. Would love to see him, finish strong. Either way, I think he's done enough to impress this year with what we've seen so far. So, I don't think really what happens to Matter is really going to change that. I think the mechanical changes that he's made and the adjustments he's made have proven that he can be a big league pitcher. I still don't know that he'll start next year in the rotation, depending on what happens in the offseason, just because he has options. But I do think, he'll be first man up if something were to happen. But we'd love to see him obviously finish strong here. And if the offense has the at-bats that they had really over the weekend, starting that Tigers series, that game on Saturday, we talked about it leading into Sunday and then into Monday, that's the offense we were hoping for, right? I mean, if they can just continue to battle like that, all the foul balls they had tonight, made for a long game, made for some long innings. But if you're going to be rewarded for that and put up a bunch of runs, I don't think anybody really cares all that much. But if they take those same at bats into a Brad Lord, look, and he's had a decent season there for the Nationals, but you're able, like you said, you're able to do it against Mackenzie Gore, who's had a really strong year and a good strikeout pitcher. I think they can do it against, most pitchers. So looking forward to seeing them continue that, hopefully keep this streak alive.
Yeah. On your note of the length of the game, 3 hours and 12 minutes. I just pulled it up, tied for the fourth longest non-extra innings game the Braves have played all year. So that's just, that was great. Hopefully that's a little bit of a shorter game tomorrow. That is same time, 7:15 p.m. Eastern. We will also at that point know, like Charlie Morton should have reported to the team. So we'll know more about his role. Is he going to make a start? Is he going to be able about the bullpen? Is he just going to be a dugout mascot for the rest of the year? We'll find out his thing there, as well as the roster move to replace Ozzie with somebody else. Do us a favor. If you're listening to this on audio, sorry you didn't see the Matt Olson visual gag, but outside of that, please do us a favor and leave a 5-star review, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live tomorrow. This was a ton of fun tonight. I feel like this is a little looser than normal because this was a really fun game from the perspective of we scored a lot of runs, and that's always fun to talk about. Hopefully we get more of that tomorrow as the Braves try to get a double-digit winning streak. For Jake Mastroianni, I'm Lindsay Crosby. This has been the Braves Postcast.